Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Moody, thank you all for allowing us the opportunity to speak. As befits our name, the Early Learning Partnership, we're trying to go early and to get in one of the first words on this very difficult debate you're going to have over next year's budget and its priorities. Every time I try to use PowerPoint, I either pull the plug out or end up confusing myself or my audience. So I'm passing out some hard copy documents here. I'm going to give one to Dr. Moody. Which is just a little packet of material that summarizes who we are. The Early Learning Partnership used to be Success by Six, which is a national United Way franchise dedicated to helping children get ready for school. Our Success by Six franchise started here in York County in 1995. We became so successful over time, we sort of outgrew the United Way, and with their help, cooperation, and support, we split off and formed an independent corporation in 2005. But our mission is the same: to help every child in this county get ready to school, get ready for school, and be eager and healthy to learn. We have two main programs that we sponsor and oversee. One is a series of literacy programs, Born to Read, which brings books to children and their families when they're born in Piedmont Medical Center. Reach Out and Read, which brings books to children in doctor's offices. And the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which offers a free book to every child every month from 0 to age 5. A lot of people think Dolly brings those books every month. We bring those books every month, or we and our corporate sponsors. And so literacy, as you might imagine, is the main focus of what we do, because we all know the earlier children read, the more successful they're likely to be. The other thing we do, and really the centerpiece of our efforts to encourage school readiness in the county, is a network of 4 family resource centers, one in each school district: York, Clover, Fort Mill, and Rock Hill. The one here is located over on Black Street next to the Central Child Development Center, the 4-year-old kindergarten for the district. That's your building. The district owns the building. The employees in the building are district employees. What we do is we help provide program support and funding support for the programs that take place in that facility. We also coordinate the parent education programs among the 4 centers all throughout the county, so we're all implementing and working on the best practices for getting children ready for school. And I'm going to be brief about why we think that's so important, but let me start by saying this. There was an article in the Herald this morning, which y'all probably read, about the challenges y'all have to face here over the next year. And y'all probably know at the bottom of those articles there's some comments, and I made the mistake of reading them. There are all kind of points of view on those comments you might not even know existed. But I wanted to go ahead and clarify one thing. There was a comment made by several folks that suggested that the school district is funding medical clinics in those resource centers. The resource centers do each have a medical clinic. The medical services in those clinics are provided by volunteer physicians from Rock Hill Pediatrics and from a paid nurse practitioner and staff member. The funds for those clinics come from the Duke Foundation through the Early Learning Partnership. So although the school district provides the space, the services are provided by volunteers and the funds are provided by the Early Learning Partnership. And the district itself is not funding the clinics directly. What the district is funding is what we maintain it should be funding, very much so, and that is a whole host of vitally important parent education and child development programs in these centers. And take your time to read it later. But the second page of this packet is 3 pages of programs provided by ParentSmart, which is the district's parent education program, and the Resource Center. These ladies, these 10 ladies who work at the center, led by Cindy Hunt, their coordinator, they visit these children and their families in their hospital when they're born to provide them immediately with the resources they may need. They have some nationally qualified and prescribed curricula to help at-risk families, parent Triple P program and the Parents as Teachers program. They provide developmental screenings, resources and referrals to other agencies of the community that help, like First Steps, which Mr. Lisk says. These services are critically needed and they are heavily used. If you look at the next page in your packet, several pages which count the service visits for ParentSmart and the Rock Hill Resource Center, these are duplicated counts because some families use multiple programs. But in the last complete year alone, there were over 14,000 service contacts on the basis of what ParentSmart and their staff did. There were over 9,000 additional service contacts from the additional agencies. So these programs are being used heavily by families that desperately need them. And one thing that's so attractive about this center is all the services are in one place. So particularly for families who lack access to transportation, they can come to one center, they can get help with adult literacy, they can get help with their children for developmental screenings, they can get parent education programs, they can get everything they need under one roof. And ladies and gentlemen, these programs work, and don't take my word for it. Read the study that I attached to the back of your packet. Go to the website that I gave you in this memo, to voices.org, which assimilates and collects research from all over the country about the effectiveness of these programs. As Mr. Lift said a second ago, an investment in the life of a child early, before that child starts school, reaps tremendous benefits. And here is where I get most frustrated. I'll just go ahead and tell you by some of the comments I read on the website from some of these articles. There seems to be a perception, which is perhaps debatable, in our community, that we should not be providing these services to children. Now, we can debate all we want the moral question of whether or not we should provide these services to children who need them, to families who need them. I myself, and I suspect most of the Early Learning Partnership board members, if not every one of them, would resoundingly say, yes, it is our duty, because they're all our children and we have a duty to provide for them. Put that aside. Assume you don't feel as I do. Let's look at it as a purely economic question, a purely practical question of how to best spend the limited resources of this community and this district. What the research shows time and time again is that you're going to spend this money one way or another. The research is overwhelming, it's clear, it's consistent, it's persuasive. We can spend the money now and invest a fairly modest amount on getting children ready for school, on closing the achievement gap between at-risk children and children who have a lot of resources that other children don't have. We can wait and spend that money in the 5th or the 6th or the 7th grade, maybe on a special education program, or some services for a child who has to repeat a grade, or for some additional tutoring or remedial programs. Or we can wait longer, until the child's 15 and drops out of school and becomes involved with the criminal justice system. One of our board members is a prosecutor with the York County Prosecutor's Office, and she told us at a recent board meeting that the cost of incarcerating a child in the juvenile justice system is $100,000 per year. That's exactly the sum that has been proposed to cut the ParentSmart budget for the next year. And I'll get to that particular cut in a moment. But the choice is clear, we believe. We can cut ParentSmart by $100,000, which will leave us just enough to incarcerate one child 10 years down the road if that child slips through the cracks. Or we can invest that $100 at current funding levels and continue to provide services for dozens of children and families who will never fall through the cracks and who will never get involved with the justice system and who will never need that money. Put aside the moral question. The question's an economic one. And finally, my last point is I cannot imagine, Dr. Moody, what you and your staff have had to go through in crafting that very careful and thoughtful plan, which I've read several times over the past few days. I know every one of these cuts must have been agonizing for you and your staff. Everything that the district is proposing to cut is something the district needs. We're cutting now into bone, not into muscle or fat, and there are no easy answers for this board or for this administration. It's a tough, tough call. I would not presume to stand up here and to tell you that early childhood education, worthy as it is, critical as it is, much as we need it, is any more important and should not be cut. I'm not going to say cut them, don't cut us. What I am going to ask you to do is to consider taking the $100,000 from your reserve fund, which is there for reserve purposes, which you have been very prudent and careful about conserving for many years. Consider taking that $100,000 and maintaining ParentSmart's funding at the existing level for another year until we get through this rainy day period. The rainy day, ladies and gentlemen, is now. I hope it's not going to get much rainier, but it's really rainy right now. Our children need these programs. Our families need these programs. We as a society need these programs. As a parent with 2 children in this district, I am so proud of what we've done over the past few years for children in this district, and I would ask you to consider withdrawing the funding from the reserve fund to make sure that all of our children continue to be ready and eager to learn. Thank you.
Could I make one comment before you leave? I just saw something recently that so strongly supports what you said. It talked about a child entering school very unprepared for school, has a chance, 50% chance of being a dropout at the end. But what struck me even more was that a child who comes to school with adequate preparation has the same possibility of graduating from high school as our more middle class individuals. To me, that's a tremendously strong support for what you're saying.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Thank you all very much.
I noticed that you read the first part of the piece in the paper this morning too, the
I read the whole thing. Yes, sir. Actually,
I can tell.
yeah, I read the whole thing. Yes, sir. Thank you very much.